A rock star. She is a legend on the island, and we cannot wait to recognize her tonight. So our final honoree tonight is Dr. Nina Tandon. Everyone give her a round of applause. She is the CEO and co-founder of EpiBone and a proud Roosevelt Island resident. Nina's pioneering work in regenerative medicine uses AI and tissue engineering to create living bone and cartilage. Wow, that's really impressive. Her company is transforming the future of healthcare, and her story is a shining example of innovation with heart. As a neighbor and contributor to this community, Nina represents the best of what Roosevelt Island stands for. Let's learn more about her journey with this video.
When I was little, growing up here on Roosevelt Island, I think it was a place that inspired us to just think that the world was available to us. Here we are on Roosevelt Island where there's one street. And so my parents, like many parents, would say, as long as you don't leave the island, you're all good. And so we island kids would make up all of these games and play all around. I felt like I grew up in a village where a lot of the parents banded together and made a babysitting co-op. So this idea of parents can step in for each other and help was something I was raised with.
She was maybe 13 or 14 when she started babysitting. So she was a pretty amazing kid. I had 3 children, so she took on a big job.
Nina is truly a unicorn. She's this award-winning electrical engineer, bioengineer, receiving her MBA from Columbia while she was also earning her PhD. She doesn't do anything as a dilettante. She never scratches the surface of whatever topic that interests her. She always dives in deeply. Working with Nina at EpiBone has probably been one of the best work experiences that I've had, simply because she really nurtures an environment that is inherently diverse by gender, by age, ethnicity, and cultural backgrounds.
Nina is an extremely successful person, but she doesn't act like somebody who's extremely successful.
There's so many busy moms now that don't have time, but Nina seems to make time for everything.
One of the things I value most about this community is a feeling of acceptance and home. This is a place where I'm known as a person. I'm not necessarily my job. I'm not necessarily a scientist. A lot of people don't know that about me at all. I find this place to be my safe haven, my sanctuary. It's special.
Good evening. It's my great privilege and honor to introduce Dr. Nina Tandon to you again tonight. I had the honor of being one of Nina's English teachers at Dominican Academy High School. And even as a teenager, my colleagues and I said, this kid's gonna change the world. And she has, so we were right. When I spoke to Nina last week, I asked her, what do you want me to say tonight? And she said, I want you to mention Marina Gillido. Mrs. G, as her students affectionately called her, was Nina's biology teacher. She was also a very dear friend of mine. And she was the first person who taught Nina about human stem cells and planted that seed long ago. And like Nina, Mrs. G had a passion for science, a desire to make the world a better place, and a kind, compassionate, and loving personality. Unfortunately, Mrs. G is no longer with us, but she lives on through students like Nina, and she is tremendously proud of you wherever she is. The fact that you asked me to talk about her tonight on a night that honors you is a testament to how selfless you are and how you really believe that our past shapes our future. It's not looking backwards. It's learning and founding a foundation and a core that will carry us through. It's that complete circle we talked about. When I asked Nina what she considers to be the greatest reward of her career, she said, to discover what's broken about the system and find a way to fix it. Nina's desire to be a force for good in the world, helping people who are in pain, is an integral part of who she is. It's the driving force that keeps her persevering in the face of adversity, rebuilding her company, and continuing to explore new opportunities as a scientist and a businesswoman. Nina, the Roosevelt Island Business Alliance chose wisely when they decided to honor you. As a business entrepreneur, engineer, scientist, lifelong Roosevelt Island resident, loving family member, and devoted friend, you're an inspiration to everyone who knows you. Congratulations, my dear. Come on, dear.
Thank you so much. This is really special to me. This is my home, Roosevelt. I don't have a business on Roosevelt Island. I grew up here, and this is a night that's about celebrating the community and also raising money to support the community. People like Judy, who happens to be my next door neighbor, actually. So go 17th floor. My parents, who are here, thank you, were lucky enough back in 1977 to have had a conversation with another family, the Andrews family, who some of you know, about where to raise a family in New York City so that they wouldn't have to move to the suburbs. And here we are, so fortunate. And they stayed. And many others like them too as well. And that's why our building is actually what's called, can correct me on this, Kaya, a NORC, a naturally occurring retirement community. So thank you, David and Mimi, for making that recommendation. Island life fosters resiliency and a can-do attitude. And my first job, my first gig in entrepreneurship, I think, as we just learned, was babysitting. And actually looking around the room, if I didn't babysit your kid or babysit you, yeah, I mean, it's too many to name. But you know, it's like, wow, my mom, I gotta thank you too. You know, this island fosters a can-do attitude. Some of my first babysitting jobs came from my mom, doing old-fashioned business development the old-fashioned way. On her way home from her Wall Street job, you know, sneakers and suit, stopping to chat with other parents. You're pushing a shopping cart. Do you need a babysitter? I have 3 teenage daughters. So looking back, I see, wow, entrepreneurship, you know? And I see, it's so lovely to be a member of a community now, raising my own kids around people whose kids I babysat, or now our kids are friends. And to be able to know people your whole life like that is really special. A multi-generational community anywhere in the world is special, and certainly in the 5 boroughs, in a place where there's only one street. Hi, Ben. One of the kids. Okay, and my dad, you know, chiming in as we were growing up about how important it was for women to be financially independent, that we could be any kind of MD, PhD, JD, MBA we wanted to be when we grew up. Many know him as Mr. HVAC in Rivercross, since in his fake retirement, he's taken on green energy, ground lease, renegotiations, and other thankless projects in Rivercross, but we thank you. My brother, so I'm one of 3 sisters, the babysitters. We had a brother too, and guess what? He was an Eagle Scout for his Eagle Scout project. Oh, he also, you know, he was your IT guy, Judy. But he also, for his Eagle Scout project, did that Roosevelt Island historical walk with you, Judy. And I know it's one thing that I'd love to see resurrected, actually. So lots of collaborations. It was another island resident, Pat Semenza, the late Pat Semenza, for whom the library is named in the Roosevelt Island Day Nursery, and who's also our next door neighbor and my brother and sister's preschool teacher. She's the one who recommended DA for us for high school, just over the tram. And just like that, the 3 Tandon sisters went there, and my brother to Regis. So thank you, the community, and thank you, Ms. Weil, for infusing your background of psychology and literature into your English classes and helping us, when we spoke. I'm a scientist and a woman in STEM, and I think that's, I've ridden that wave in some ways, but I think the real X factor for us has been our real grounding with a well-rounded education in the humanities. And I think that's something that as a scientist, I think it's really important to say, that meaning comes from the kind of stuff that you can't calculate. And in an age of AI, when we're all trying to figure out what do humans do, what is knowledge, how do we know what truth is, I think it's really important for us to recognize what happens in real life when we're together with our 11th dimensional biocomputers in co-presence with each other, what happens when that happens. And so I love that. So thank you for mentioning Mrs. G. She inspires me to this day. I became a marrow donor in her honor. And I remember when she said she didn't want a bone marrow transplant. She died of leukemia. And she was dying while she was our teacher. And so when I think about what we want to do with stem cells, we do want to treat pain. That's what matters. When, how do people feel? Skeletal injuries are the #1 cause of disability in military and civilian populations, and yet we don't really have much beyond carpentry to help heal ourselves. And I really love this idea that through our work at EpiBone, we are being subversive in terms of using our own body's natural healing capacity as an ingredient. We can be the medicine. And if we do our job right, we can increase lifespan, but more importantly, health span. And I want to say joy span. I think that's really important. What do we do with the time we have? EpiBone's been an amazing adventure, scientific, but really multidimensional. It's a multidimensional quest, the kind that a well-rounded education can provide background for. These past few years have been really tough. It's been called the biotech winter, the most difficult fundraising period of the past 50 years. Many of our friends' companies died, ours almost did. You find out a lot about yourself in a downturn. Other entrepreneur friends of mine have talked me off the ledge here in this room. And we were down to 4 people. Myself, my co-founder, who's not here. Tonight, he's with his family. Love him dearly. My best friend from high school, Carla Nassi, who you met in the video, and my other, another soulmate of mine, my husband, Noah, also here. The 4 of us. It came down to the 4 of us. And it wasn't just that. The reason why we couldn't accept this award last year was because Noah and I moved to Abu Dhabi because we were trying to figure out if we could breathe life into EpiBone by going anywhere on Earth where we could find a path forward. So I just think, the power of soulmate level friendship, the kind that refuses to give up, is just so important. So thank you, Noah, for taking me on as a wife and business partner now, and Carla for being my ride or die. Thank you. Okay, I'll shut up soon. People are drawn to island life because of simplicity, community, proximity to nature and water. I love the island for these things, and I just want to say, because I've been working a lot of Mideast hours now, I take walks at very strange times. And did you know that possums come out at 4 in the morning? I have seen raccoons, swans, possums, so many more cats than I ever knew, Rosanna. So many cats. So this place is my fortress, my bedrock, and now I'm raising my family here. I was 217's first valedictorian. I got married at 4 Freedoms Park, and we run EpiBone from our little home office on the 17th floor in Rivercross. So looking ahead, I'm a lifer here on the island. I am homegrown. But what I am so inspired by seeing tonight is that this community shows how innovation and compassion can coexist. We can innovate our neighborhood. We can move mountains and kiosks. My hope is to make good, on our promise that technology can help bring health and wealth to communities by making good jobs, and also bring safety to us through, technological competitiveness. Margaret Mead famously said that in her view, the first sign of civilization wasn't a piece of architecture, but rather a 15,000-year-old fossil of a healed fracture, which in her view is evidence that someone else had taken the time to help another person to safety and through recovery. And I'm proud if I can say by the time I look back on my life, which I hope will be 115 years like all of us in this room, that we can say, that we were building on that cornerstone of civilization, health and human happiness. So, thank you for this. I'm a resident here on the island. I just want to say thank you to TRIBA, thank you to the sponsors, thank you for doing this and bringing us together. It's such a joyful evening. So if I could just ask everyone to raise a glass and say thank you for this great evening, and thank you to Roosevelt Island for being this crazy, weird place that we call home. So thank you for this award. It means so much to me, and just thank you, Roosevelt Island. Good night.